Hello everybody, this is The Horror Sickness and I'm back with episode number 7 today of my collection overview. As always, we're just going to head straight into this one, no long intros, no rambling. First up is one that you may not be so familiar with. You're probably more familiar with the previous instalments and also the directors involved in this one. It's from two of my favourite visual directors, Danny and Oxide Pang. Basically this film is a group of friends find themselves stranded in an old hotel. As they go about revealing the history behind the walls, they realise that they need to escape, which just keeps getting harder and harder, and there's this creepy little ghost child about. The film is okay at best, to be honest. For me personally, it's a huge letdown though, as it comes from the directors of the I trilogy and Recycle in particular. If you haven't seen Recycle, please try and get hold of that and give it a watch. Visually it's just incredible, really, really good film, and as I say, Danny and Oxide Pang just bring out some really cool stuff. This, unfortunately, isn't one of them. It was, I don't know if you can see at the top there, billed as the first 3D horror film in Hong Kong. And I hate to say it, but they obviously relied way too much on the 3D gimmick. At times you can see things that just make little sense to do with the film itself, but obviously just been added in because they might look good in 3D, such as monsters jumping at the screen in 3D. The main issue I have though is that this is the 2D version, so all those things that were thrown in for the 3D don't make any sense whatsoever. On this one, with it being 2D, the script is pretty shocking, which doesn't help. It sounds like I've completely slagged it off. It's definitely worth a watch if you are a fan of the Pang brothers. Visually it's still very good, but it's just not enough substance behind it, as there is with some of their other work. Next up we have a classic from 1983, the year I was born. This is Christine. This is directed by John Carpenter and based on a Stephen King novel. High school geek Arnie falls in love with Christine, a big red American car, which, looking up, I later found out is a 1958 Plymouth Fury for those that are into the cars. I'm personally not. He starts restoring this said car, but soon enough Arnie starts to change as much as the car, and not for the better. You all know it, it's very good, and thankfully it's one of the Stephen King adaptations that's not directed by Mr. King himself, which is never a good thing. But Christine's very good, so let's move on. Next up we have A Clockwork Orange. This is from 1971, another classic and one that you're all going to be very familiar with. But just in case, Stanley Kubrick, who actually thought made more films than he did looking into him. But to be fair, the ones he has made were pretty good. This one brings us a guy called Alex, who's in jail for murder and rape. He volunteers for an experimental therapy developed by the government, but obviously things don't go to plan. It's considered by many to be Kubrick's best work, and for somebody who brought out us 2001: A Space Odyssey, Full Metal Jacket, The Shining, and many, many others, who's to say? What do you guys think? What do you think is Stanley Kubrick's best work? If you want to leave a comment below, let me know what your personal favourite is, that'd be cool. But yeah, that's A Clockwork Orange. Next up is one that you've probably never heard of. I had not until I picked it up. It's a Thai film called Cloning. Very little information I can find to do with it. It's basically from 2007. I picked this up while I was in Malaysia. And to be honest, I've still not got around to watching it yet. So I'm just going to read the synopsis, which I've written down, and it's just brilliantly translated directly into English. So here goes. When Dr. George bring human cloning experiment to Thailand, this experiment proceeds secretly with the owner of the big hospital fund support, Niwat, which I don't know, it's Niwat, not sure what it stands for, an intended programmer and a workaholic. Because of one of these experiment victims, B7, the cloning of Niwat tries to snatch humanity for survive in the mankind world. The fight between them begins with a bet of life, family and love. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm not, stumbling over the words or anything. That is literally what it says on the tagline, which reads, "Disaster of man king. No one is in danger as yourself." Makes even a little less sense, to be honest. It must be good. It's out of print anyway, so shame. Before we head into the next film, which you can obviously see is Colin, we're going to head over to the table. As again, for those who haven't seen the previous episodes, I don't own a table at the moment, we've just moved, so I'm not sure what we're going to be showing it on, but hopefully it's going to be an interesting edition of an interesting film. Okay, so we're now coming over to the table, which, if you've been watching previous episodes, isn't a table. This time, in fact, it's not even a surface. We've just come over to the corner where my TV is. That should give you a clue. We're going to be taking a look at the best of the Hammer collection. This one is the 5-film box set, which includes, as we can see, the Nanny, which I've got up on the screen at the moment, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Quatermass in the Pit, Frankenstein Created Woman, and The Devil Rides Out. These are basically films from the legendary Hammer film production, 5 of their classic movies. The first one, as I say, is The Nanny, which was a result of a somewhat uneasy collaboration between Bette Davis and 2 of Hammer's writers, Jimmy Sangster, director Seth Holt. Next one up is Dracula, Prince of Darkness, directed by Terence Fisher in '65, and marked Christopher Lee's return, with an original which was screened on the BBC in 1958 is Quatermass in the Pit, and Frankenstein Created Woman was one of the last films to be completed by Hammer at the famed Bray Studios. This isn't the set that I was wanting to show really, that was just an idea. That was a set that my wife gave me quite a while ago actually. It was towards the early end of me starting my collection. The one I really want to look at is this one. This is the more definitive Hammer collection. This is the 21 disc collector's box set and opens up as such. So the lid just comes up and the flap comes down and we have this. Basically they're kind of packs. I'll just take this off for a second at the top. They're basically just kind of packs that have, they call them books, that have the films in, so they open up as such. I don't have time, we've got the Nanny there as well. All the films that are on this set are on this one as well. So this one just kind of sits at the back. This one I'll have on display. I just think it looks absolutely wonderful. I don't have time to go through all the films obviously, but what I'll do is in the description below I shall put all the links to trailers for the films, and I'll put links to where you can buy the set and everything else. It's pretty easy to get hold of. It also comes with this booklet. I don't think there's going to be any nudity. Obviously just going through the founders of Hammer, some of the directors and the films and things. We also have, which is really nice, and I haven't taken a look at these in quite a while actually, we have these kind of little cards. They're like little square postcards, and we have Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, we have Dracula, Prince of Darkness, we have Quatermass in the Pit, we have Frankenstein Created Woman, we have 1 million years BC, and we have one which is difficult to see but it's the Reptile. Looks really cool. And yeah, as I say then, you've got different artwork on each of the books as you take them out, and just a selection of films with all the titles there. But as I say, don't have time really to go through it all individually. If people want me to do a separate video of this set, I don't mind doing that. Just let me know in the comments. But if you do, have a look in the description, all the links to all the films. I'll put as much information as I can in about this set. But yeah, really nice set, and as I say, I'm sure you can pick it up reasonably cheap. That was the opening, that's the main set, and we're going back up to the top of the shelf. Thank you very much. So there you go, hopefully that's something that you enjoyed. Next up we have Colin. This is from 2008. Basically Colin is bitten by a zombie, Colin dies, Colin returns from the dead, and we follow Colin as he wanders the streets through the ensuing apocalypse. Simple enough, but still pretty cool concept, which is difficult nowadays. Most things that have been done with a zombie movie have already been done. One thing I will say, the supposed budget of £50, which is what, around $100-ish, not maybe that, $80, $85, is at best unlikely, but it does have the feel obviously of an ultra low budget film. Having said that, I did like it. It's well worth a watch, especially if you're an aspiring kind of filmmaker and you want to see what you can do on a low budget. It's cheap enough to pick up. It's probably a penny bar on Amazon UK, but yeah, definitely worth a watch. It's not going to be a hit with everybody, but hopefully you'll get some enjoyment out of it. Next up is Constantine from 2005. This one is from director Francis Lawrence, who was known at the time for being more of a music director, music video director, working with Green Day among others, and to be honest it can be seen in this film, which visually is great. There's a lot of CGI, but it works well. Saying that, it should have done, to be honest, because it had a budget of $100 million US, which to me personally seems crazy for a first-time movie director, but obviously I trust in him. The visuals are the positive in this one. Unfortunately, Keanu Reeves is hit and miss as usual. The script is not the best. There are plot holes, but the main issue I have is, or the main issue that people have, is that this one, it's not faithful to the source material. Apparently a comic called Hellblazer. Not being a comic book fan myself, I can't say anything about that. But if you are a fan, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about that, what the Hellblazer comics are like, if you've read them, and whether or not you agree that this doesn't quite live up to it. It's not the worst film by any means, it's a fun enough watch, but not the best. Next up, and we have this on this kind of lenticular sleeve, which I don't think is showing up particularly well. This is Coraline from 2009, and it's another one for my animated horror collection I'm putting together for me and my wife to watch. It comes in this slipcase, which I'll let you know because I can't really get it out. It is the same cover, obviously, just without the lenticular. It's a 2-disc collector's edition as well. This one is directed by Henry Selick, who directed my wife's favourite Nightmare Before Christmas. Coraline is an adventurous girl who finds a hidden door in her new family home. Going through it one night, she finds a parallel world where all her dreams of loving parents and a nice life seem to come true. Until, that is, she tries to leave. I really want to go back and read Neil Gaiman's novella, which this is based on. From what I've read, it's more of a horror story, while this film, which has obvious horror elements, takes more of a dark fantasy type of route. There's a great cast, incredible animation, and it's a horror for all the ages. To be honest, if my wife can watch this, anybody can, so sit down the family, give it a go. Really, really cool film. Definitely worth a watch. Next up is Corpse Bride from 2005, co-directed by Tim Burton and the lesser-known Mike Johnson, who also worked as an animator on Henry Selick's Nightmare Before Christmas. This is another one I had to add to the animated horror collection. By the way, just if I can for a moment, I've asked this before, but if you have any suggestions of animated horror for me to check out and for my wife to take a look at, then please let me know in the comments below. That'd be really cool. Anyway, A Corpse Bride, as I say, another big favourite of my wife's. The story of a shy guy practising his vows in the inadvertent presence of a deceased young woman. She then rises from the grave, assuming that he has married her. Predictably, being a Tim Burton movie, the bride and the groom are voiced by Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter. Obviously not a bad thing, but there are another bunch of great actors involved in this one. Paul Whitehouse and Joanna Lumley, specifically, if you know about British comedy in the past, you'll know them too. Emma Watson, Richard E. Grant, Christopher Lee, among many others. You're all going to know it. I say a big favourite of my wife's, and a great film. Definitely give it a watch. We're going to end it there. As I say, I'm going to try and keep these a bit short. Got through a few today on this episode. Please join me in episode 8, where we're going to be starting off by looking at the crazies. And hopefully we can get through a few more. Obviously there's going to be another special edition to take a look at as well. And we're very soon going to be coming up to episode 10. Probably letting you know ahead of time, obviously, but episode 10 is going to be something a little different, so please look out for that. But obviously in the meantime, this has been episode 7. Please look out for episode 8. This has been The Horror Sickness. Take it easy, everybody.